for. Never worry about your people, alive or dead. And if you really focus only on the very first word,
conscious practice. What's conscious? This is V, and today I'll be responding to the bottom line of the Bhagavad Gita and the last words of Sri Krishna. My name is V, I'm an aspiring yogi, love all things meditation, yoga, and wisdom based. Super grateful to have you watching this with me. The Bhagavad Gita and Krishna, these are two areas I've heard a lot of great things about. I just haven't explored much myself, so I'm super excited to see what this video is about. With that, let's get into the video.
Vedas, Upanishads, Smriti, Puranas, Itihasas, and the list goes on and on. It would not be an exaggeration to say that Bharat has the longest and the richest heritage of the ancient scriptures, which covers different facets of life. And of all, Bhagavad Gita stands as an epitome of all ancient scriptures of Bharat, and rightfully so, as it elucidates the human life from physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual dimensions in a very simplistic manner. And people have their own interpretations of Bhagavad Gita more from a devotional perspective or a philosophical perspective. But I chose to take a different approach, a literal interpretation, going by the letter and the spirit. What is the bottom line of Bhagavad Gita? This is my perspective, which I would like to present to you. Let's get to the topic. As we are having many viewers from outside India watching our channel, and for their benefit, here is a quick overview of Mahabharatam. With 18 chapters and thousands of verses, Mahabharatam is one of the most well-preserved historical document about ancient India. And not just that, for India, the Vedas are the corpus knowledge system since times immemorial, and there are 4 of them: Rigvedam, Samavedam, Atharvana-vedam, and Yajurvedam. And Mahabharatam is revered as the 5th Veda or Panchama Vedam, and this is the only epic which has that level of reverence in Bharat. And with 700 verses or slokas, Bhagavad Gita is an integral part of Mahabharatam. It's a very crucial conversation that happens between Bhagavan Sri Krishna and Arjuna just before the great battle of Kurukshetra. And with 18 chapters, Bhagavad Gita explains about a lot of things on physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual facets of human life. But if one has to really summarize the very first stepping stone in this journey, what's the essence of the entire Bhagavad Gita, highly condensed and to the point? Here it is. After the grief-stricken Arjuna expresses his unwillingness to fight in Kurukshetra, the very first words of Bhagavan Sri Krishna are as follows: Asocyananvasochastvam prajñam vadamscha bhashase gatasu nagatasumscha nanusochanti panditaha. And here is the translation. Do not worry. You are worrying for something that's not worth worrying for. Never worry about your people, alive or dead. And if you really focus only on the very first word said by Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he says, in fact he starts saying Asocya, which means do not worry. Just hold this word, Asocya. And right from there, the second chapter of Samkhya Yoga, Bhagavan Sri Krishna starts narrating the entire Bhagavad Gita for 17 continuous chapters. And in the last 18th chapter, Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, the very last words of Sri Krishna before he ends Bhagavad Gita are as follows: Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarvapapebhyo mokshasyami masuchah. And the translation is: relinquish all the righteousness, the dharma, and surrender completely into me, and I will deliver you from all your sinful reactions. Do not worry. Again, observe the last word said by Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Ma Suchaha, which means do not worry. Now, if we take the very first word spoken by Bhagavan Sri Krishna when he starts Bhagavad Gita is Asocya, and he ends Bhagavad Gita saying Ma Suchaha. Both are one and the same. It says, do not worry. The rest, all 17 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, come secondary. The very first and most important lesson taught by Bhagavan Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is do not worry. Whether you're happy or not is secondary. But the first and very important thing is do not worry for whatever the reason that that you are currently worrying for. And that's a lot easier said than done. And as I'm recording this, I have 1,000 things that I am worrying about. And not worrying about anything in life is unimaginably difficult task. But yes, this is the very first lesson that Bhagavan Sri Krishna teaches in Bhagavad Gita. Because once we start worrying about something, that essentially pulls down all our abilities, all our fighting abilities in that situation to survive. And that happens to be a very simplistic and very powerful lesson at the same time. And by extension, if we summarize the remaining 17 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, this is what it boils down to. Do your duty and stay indifferent to pain and pleasure in life. So the bottom line of Bhagavad Gita is, do not worry, do your duty and stay indifferent to pain and pleasure in life. This is my interpretation, a literal interpretation of what's written in Bhagavad Gita. And that's a very powerful life lesson from Bhagavad Gita. And this is the reason why we revere and worship Bhagavan Sri Krishna as Krishnam Vande Jagadguru, which means Krishna, the teacher of this universe. And wishing you all a very happy Janmashtami. And as always, thanks for watching.
This was very interesting. I do have to say that I love the intensity of the speaker himself. Right off the bat, he kept it very captivating. I was very curious with that little dramatic sort of background noise and music. But diving more into the actual core of the reflection here of the video itself, I really, really love the very simple and powerful thing that he basically says is from the Gita, and that's, do not worry. Do not worry. Do not worry. Again, as he says it too, it's so simple to say, but it's important to realize, and this is what I've actually learned from just other spiritual teachings and wisdoms. Eckhart Tolle says this actually, which is, it's never the events or the things that happen to you that usually upset you or cause some sort of, in a way, reaction or whatever. It's your thoughts around that event. That is basically worry. So when something happens to you, it doesn't mean that that thing is good or bad. It's about realizing that you don't have to unconsciously react, because usually worry is usually thoughts that are of relative negative nature, which is creating some sort of stress. And as we've known, and even science has proven this, thoughts have a very powerful effect on the body. It's even a simple example such as, let's just say a fake snake is thrown at you, but you don't know that. But you think it is, and that's where the thoughts think it's a real snake. And then your body will literally react at the emotional, physical level like it's a real snake. Especially because snakes have become ingrained in our DNA as something we should very much fear. So, yeah, I think that is a very, very key and crucial point, which is to just do not worry. Now, you might wonder, let's make this a bit more practical, right? How do you not worry? Well, here are some tips. I'm no enlightened master here, just sharing what has helped me and what I've learned. And I truly think meditation is a tool that you can always use to create that distance from the worry. Because the moment you realize that you are worrying, that is the first step. The moment you're aware that you're worrying, that is the first step, because unfortunately, for most of us and a lot of us, we're so identified with the worry that it is us, and we don't even know that we're worried. So the first key step is to just be aware. How do we become aware? Well, a tool like meditation, where you can take a moment, sit down. A bit formal, I think, is definitely recommended for anyone, honestly, and just reflect on what is happening within yourself. Once you take that moment to reflect and see what is happening, don't fight the worry, because then you're going to get worried about being worried. It's a toxic cycle, actually. So the next step will be to create distance. And how do you do that? Have an anchor. This can be a mantra. This can be your breath. This can be your yogic practice, whatever it might be. Have an anchor. Bring your attention to that. Every time the mind wanders and drifts away, gently and kindly bring it back. Because doing it in an erratic manner, and that's the thing too, even meditation, right? It's not about doing it, it's about how you do it. That really matters. And so if you keep doing, let's say you do it for an hour, you might think, oh, I did it for an hour, it should be very beneficial. But if you did it in that unconscious way, which is like you being hard on yourself and you beating yourself up every time you got distracted, it's not going to be a very fruitful practice. So be kind to yourself, realize, and this is something that really has helped me out, which is that every time you are aware that you are unconscious, or you're conscious that you're unconscious in that specific moment, you're actually fully conscious for that split second of a moment. So be kind to yourself. That itself will be sort of a practice by itself, and then you'll eventually always be in this sort of state of consciousness or being aware. And that way, you will never worry in a certain way. It's practice, right? So I'm not lying down. I don't know if you are. I don't think you are. But thank you so much for watching. This was a new style video, so if you have any other video topics that you want me to see react to, or even just guests that you want to see on the show, comment down below. Would love to hear your views on what I've shared, what the video shared. Comment down below. With that, make this a great day. Take it joyful and stay conscious. Ecstasy.